My toxic father. He's years later coming back into my life and I don't want him to be here. He found out that me and mom are successful now, so he's coming to beg us. I might take this opportunity to finally get a bit of revenge on him for the way that he treated mom and me our entire life. But first I want to see your opinion on it. After several years of being absent from my life, my father has returned. I wonder if some alternate reality maybe this line would be a start of a heartwarming story. But unfortunately in my case it's not a good thing. Honestly, if it were, I wouldn't really be here, would I? So my problem is as simple as the first line. My father has returned and wants something from me and my mom? Doesn't sound that bad, right? Well, it will, once I give you all the information, so here it is. Long ago, I, 24 female, have had a very happy family. I used to live very happily with my mom, Susan, and dad, Jimmy. Can you hear me being sarcastic in this post or no? Well, if you can't, then I was being sarcastic because my family was not happy at all. Well, my mom made me happy and my dad made me want to become an orphan and get adopted by somebody else. I don't know for sure if I actually hated him as much as I think I did, because a lot of things happened later that made me hate him a lot. But I'm positive that I was not happy with him as a dad. He was a horrible dad. And honestly, I don't have one good memory of him that does not involve my mom making it happen. He didn't care about me at all and was only good for financially looking after the family. I think he felt that this was enough too, because he never did anything more than that. Can you believe that all of the almost 16 years that he raised me, he never once told me he loved me? Hell, I would have taken a little bit of "I like you" from him too at that point. He was the epitome of the toxic male. You know, those Sigma male things that have become a trend in recent times. It reminds me of his behavior. I don't know for sure why my mom never tells me, but I think that he wanted a son and that's why I was always a disappointment. And believe me, when I did not understand that it was not my fault, I tried my best to get him to love me, but he simply never did. I would do everything that he asked for. I did great in school and was good at sports. I tried to become the person he would be proud of, but unfortunately I could not change my gender. So he was not interested in me. If I talk about my dad, his issues, this is going to become longer than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So let me stop right there. Unfortunately, things got a lot worse. The reason I actually started disliking my father was when I started noticing how he treated my mom. He used to always scream at her and make her feel small just because he earned us a living. I think that he didn't used to do it in front of me before, but he slowly started not caring and used to insult her right in front of me. I would catch my mom crying many times, and it would break my heart, but I did not have the guts to talk to her. I feel ashamed thinking I let my mom go through all of that without doing anything. But don't worry, she's happy now. One day I saw my father with another woman, and when I spoke with my mom about it, she told me that he's probably cheating. A few weeks later, I saw them again and followed them until they went into a home, which I believed was hers. I then told my mom what I saw, and it turns out that she had also seen his text messages with the lady. When he came home, she confronted him while I stood next to her as support. They had a big argument, a giant fight with a lot of screaming. And at the end, Dad left my mom for that woman. He didn't show up for a week, and it was one of the most peaceful weeks me and Mom have ever experienced. We were happy, very happy, but we had no idea that it was the calm before the storm, because after he showed up, our lives would change forever. So Jimmy, our father, showed up and started packing his things, and he said that he was filing for divorce. My mom tried to stop him, but he said that he had had enough of us and wanted a different life. I'll never forget it. He said that he was happy we caught him because he didn't want to stay with us anymore, and he didn't want to live a lie. After that, there was not really anything we could say. He left for good. A few months later, they got divorced, and I have not seen him since then. Jimmy ran off to do whatever he wanted to do, leaving us in a really bad position. My mother had a little bit of money saved, which we used to survive until she got a job, and we had to leave our place because we could not afford the rent. Well, we moved into a small place, and my mother started working odd jobs. My mom worked very hard, and so did I, because after school I helped her out with our business, and back when we were still with Father, I asked him if he could help Mom build a business because she had made an amazing teddy bear, clothing, and other stuff in her spare time. I remember that he laughed at us and told me it was such a stupid idea and that she was meant to be a housewife and that's it. About a month later, before he left, I'd collected enough money to give it to my mother so she could just buy everything she needed. I then helped her start up a small business selling the things that she made. It didn't do very well for a long time, but it showed a sign of promise. Both me and my mom worked very hard, and slowly our business started to grow. My mother, she left one of her jobs when we started doing okay, and soon she had to focus on the business full time. I also dropped out after my first year of college because I was not able to give the business a lot of time because of it. And due to the rate at which it was growing, I knew that if I worked hard, our small home business was going to be really, really big. It did take a few more years, and our business has been really successful. So it's fair to say that we're living pretty well and very happy. But Jimmy, for some reason, decided that my peaceful and happy life needed a bit of drama, and so he showed up out of the blue. So all of this started actually a week ago, when I get a text from Jimmy asking me how I was doing. I ignored him and continued with my life because why was he expecting to just get a reply from me? Then he kept texting, begging me to text him back, saying that he had something important to tell me. I don't think that in a handful of years my toxic, villainous father had something turned into a good guy, so I kept ignoring him. He kept being persistent, so I blocked him and he started calling me from another number. This continued for a few weeks until I replied that I didn't want anything to do with him and that I was simply not going to talk to him. Well, then I made the mistake of telling my mother, because she immediately said that I should talk to him, and I told her that there's no way I was going to give him my precious time after what he did to us and especially to her. She said all of it was in the past, and now I love how kind my mom is. But this was definitely a little too much. But still, my mom managed to emotionally blackmail me into speaking with Jimmy. I texted him asking him what he wanted from us after all these years, and what he said did not shock me one bit. He said that he's in huge deal right now, a mess, and wanted to help him financially. He said that he was really proud of what I've achieved and that, there was not a day in his life that he regretted leaving us. He said that it was a stupid mistake, but he had to live with it and just needed my help one time. After this, he was never going to bother us again, and I immediately screamed no, because he really thought I was that stupid. But I refused to take into account what my mom would want me to do. Although I told Jimmy to take off from our lives, my mother wants me to help him. She says that he's still my dad, and helping him once more is not that big of a deal. She even said she hates him more than I do, but not helping him just makes us like him. I've told her several times that it doesn't work that way, and helping him will just give him a way to ask for more money. The reason I'm writing here is to make sure that I'm doing the right thing by not helping Dad. After everything he's done to us, does he really deserve even a drop of help from us? I mean, come on. What do you guys think? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. If I was in this scenario, there's no way I would be giving that guy $1. Let me know what you would do in the comment section down below. We have one update so far, and it's 2 weeks later. The first update says, hey, it's been 2 weeks, and this is my update. I want to thank everyone who tried to help me. Your suggestions are appreciated, and I'm jumping the gun. But I want to start this by telling everybody who supported Jimmy that you're wrong. Like I said in my post, he did not just want a little bit of help. Let me continue from where I left off. So just a few days after my first post, I made the decision that no matter how much my mother tries to convince me to be a kind human being, doing this was just absurd. I had to spend hours explaining to her that this person never loved us and left us without even thinking about what would happen to her. I didn't want to, but I made her remember how hard our life was and how he treated her. I made her understand that not helping him does not make us bad people. It just means that we learned our lesson. If we had caused him to be in this position, then we would have been responsible for him, but we're not. After a lot of back and forth, she finally understood my position and decided it's better if we did not help him. I texted Jimmy that no matter how much the amount was, we would not be able to help him, and that I would appreciate it if he stopped bothering me because he was a nobody to me. He didn't reply, so I believed that he got the message loud and clear, and a few days went by peacefully. Then the bothering continued, and it started to get even worse. He kept trying to emotionally manipulate me into helping him by saying that after everything he had done for me, this is how I was mistreating him. I was stunned by the audacity of this one, but I chose to ignore him and move on like he did in the past. Well, a few days later, I caught him lurking outside my coffee shop, and I believed that he was probably watching me. This made me so mad that I confronted him right away. Gone are the days when I was scared of this person and what he could do. Honestly, if push came to shove, I think I could have taken him in a fight, but that didn't matter here nor there. I asked him what the point of tailing me was, because it's not like this would make me change my mind. And he told me, it's just to talk to me. He said that he just wanted to ask me one last time in person for help, and I said that I did not care if he was even homeless. I was not going to help him. Well, this made him very mad. And then he showed his true colors, and he went red and almost screamed at me, saying that everything we had was because of him. Without him, we were nothing, and even though he deserved more than half of what we had, he was not even asking for a small piece of it. I told him where he hit his head, because he was clearly nothing more than straight-up delusional. As we built everything, we've now had it after he left. So the only reason we had this was because he wasn't here. So the only credit he was getting from this is putting us in a desperate situation. He said that Mom started this business before he left, so he had some investment in it. But I quickly reminded him that he refused to give her money, and I used the money I had collected for years to help her start. Can you believe it? He went so far as to say that he deserved a part of the business, and told me that he was going to take the money one way or the other. Well, I told him the only thing he's going to get was a disappointment. And then we left. I'm still having trouble believing that somebody can be this delusional. But no matter what, he's not getting a single penny from me. He can try whatever he wants to, but he's never going to be able to use me and my mom ever again. Update number 2. Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. It's been a few weeks, and for some reason Jimmy decides to attack both me and my business because he's mad that I kept rejecting him. Spoiler alert, it didn't work and he needs to do better. After our last encounter, which I mentioned in the last update, Jimmy spread a plague over my life and started affecting everything around me. He starts telling my friends about me, starts leaving reviews and comments under everything related to me and my business. I cleared it up with my friends, and it only gave me a small headache, but he was definitely making things worse for the business. He was making me and my mother look very bad on social media, and since a large percentage of our customers are using social media, I could not just ignore it. I know what you're thinking. Why not just make everything clear on social media too? Well, it might sound hypocritical given what I'm doing right now, but I didn't want to tell everybody my personal family stuff, especially everything my mom went through. The thing is, writing here is different from writing on a business page, because here I don't have real identity, but there I do. Anyways, after thinking a lot, I was left with no other option but to retaliate. Still, I didn't want to write anything until I spoke with my mom, who convinced me to do it. She told me that our story was not something to be ashamed of, but something to be proud of. She asked me not to think of it as telling everybody where we were in the past, instead of thinking it as telling everybody where we are now because of it. This was a pretty fun and positive twist, so I compressed the story and made it rather motivational than sad. I released that all over social media pages and people loved it. It actually did pretty well, and the responses were amazing. I already know that inspiring stories about women do better than men because women like lifting each other up on social media. But I definitely did not expect this. We received a massive surge of support, and this actually ended up helping us grow even bigger. Our sales have gotten much higher than we could have expected. Jimmy ended up giving me a great marketing campaign, so obviously his plan failed. After this, he once again called and started threatening me with his usual BS, but this time he was asking for a part of the business itself. But before he could even complete the sentence, I got the call. Just like you guys, I've gotten bored with his empty threats, so I didn't even want to listen to him. I'm seriously hoping that he decides to leave us alone after this, but I doubt that he actually will. I'll let you guys know, though, if anything goes down. Update number 3. Hey guys, it's me, I'm back. It's been a few weeks. Anyways, Jimmy has gone absolutely off of the rails. Honestly, even though he is my father and I'm pretty much a non-violent person, he might catch these hands outside because of what happened recently, and he's gone too far and is refusing to quit. So I'll have to do something to make him quit. In the last update, I said a few things. 2 things. 1, that he needs to do better than attacking online, and 2, that I was hoping he would leave us alone for good.
Well, I really regret saying that.
Well, at least one of those things. Care to take a guess which one? Whoever chose number 1 gets a chocolate because you have to buy it yourself. Well, guess what Jimmy did? After his attacks of me online and making me look insensitive and heartless completely backfired, he made a very rational decision to move on to the next step, which was to show up at my house when I was outside and threaten my mom with violence.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
He went from saying I was going to destroy your reputation and maybe harm your sales to saying that if you don't give me money, I will harm you. The funny thing is that it gets even worse. So let me explain what happened in a better way. About a week after my update, Jimmy completely stopped making any contact, and I falsely assumed that he was done. I was so happy that the past had been haunting me, had finally decided to take a rest, but I was so wrong. A few days later, when I was outside for a meeting, I get a text from Mother saying, "Come home fast, Dad is here." This was pretty much the biggest SOS she could send. So I rushed home. When I arrived, I found that Jimmy had already left and my mother was just sitting there crying.
I told her everything was okay
and tried to get her to calm down. She then tells me that she let him in after he begged her, which was very stupid of her. He then threatened her, but she stood her ground and only got scared when he threatened to hurt me.
I love my mom, but she's also very stupid.
Because she let him in knowing the things that he could do. So I seriously told her to never, ever let him in again and assured her that he could do none to me. I then called him and asked him, "What the hell's up, buddy?" And he told me that I should remember my mom's crying face because if I did not give in to his demands, I would have to see it constantly,
and he would make sure of that.
He then also said that I was probably going to involve the police, but he wasn't scared of it. I told him that I don't need the police, pal, and if I saw him again in person, he was going to be in a lot of pain himself. He laughed and said, "I'm not capable of that." And he asked me to give him his part before anything bad happens to the people I love. Just because I don't want to take chances, I've filed a restraining order against Jimmy from my mom and have asked my boyfriend Fred to move in with us. He works from home so he can stay with her all day and I have to go out somewhere. Right now, I'm thinking of what I can do to get Jimmy out of our life. I'll let you guys know exactly what I decide to do. Final update 1 month later.
Oh, things have gone back to normal, right?
Yeah, I'm not lying this time. Jimmy's out of our hair probably forever. Curious, right? Well, then let me not waste time and tell you everything. So the restraining order got approved, but we didn't need it because Jimmy never did anything. Everything that happened after that was done by me. I guess you could say that I did not give him a chance to do anything. During my last update, I did not mention something I did because I wanted to see the result first. So as soon as he threatened my mother, I decided to find out where Jimmy has been and what he's been doing to become this desperate for the huge amount of money that he wants from us. I have a pretty big network. I used to find anyone who had seen Jimmy or knew anything about him. Because of that network and a little help from my friends, I found his recent ex. She then told my friend who told me that he was actually hiding because he's running away from a loan shark,
and he had taken money from him.
And our money was probably going to help him run far away
and live happily ever after.
Some of you are probably understanding where I'm going with this and what I did after I found this information. And no, I have still not told my mom. So I contacted these loan sharks and told them that I was willing to serve Jimmy right to them on a silver platter for them to do whatever they please. They asked me what I wanted in return, and I said that they were the ones doing me the favor. Then I called Jimmy and told him I was scared and had decided to give him everything he wanted. So, he wants 20% of the business, eh? Which I agreed to, of course, and asked him to meet me a week later outside. I then informed the loan sharks of his exact location.
And, well, he's ready to repent his actions.
A week later, the meeting transpired, and I don't really know what happened there because I didn't go. But I'm sure that Jimmy was probably very surprised to see those guys. It turns out that both groups beat him so badly and took him in for a few days. After they realized that he would not be able to pay them back, they got him arrested, and he's now in jail. I know it may not be a happy story for most, but it's happy for me,
A person like me loves this kind of ending because he belongs there. I did not tell my mom that I was the one who got him in this position, so she's pretty happy about everything and how it turned out. Thinking karma might have got him. Well, it did, but with just a little bit of help from me. We're very happy, and you guys also deserve some credit for it. Thank you for helping us. We're forever very grateful.